Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we cut through the noise to get you truly well-informed.
Good to be here.
Today, we're tackling something huge, Ireland's National Development Plan Review 2025.
It really is a massive document.
Yeah, this isn't just some minor update. It's the blueprint for investing, what, $275.4 billion over the next decade?
That's the headline figure, yes. An unprecedented amount.
Think of it as Ireland's massive bet on its own future, really.
A very significant bet.
Our source for this deep dive is the government's own comprehensive review document.
The official publication, yeah.
And our mission: to unpack this incredibly ambitious plan. We want to highlight the key facts, the insights, and really understand how it aims to, well, transform the country and safeguard its future, especially with, the global uncertainty they mention.
Exactly. And how they plan to fund it and actually deliver it. There are some surprising details in there.
Right. So get ready, because we're going to dig into what this colossal effort means for you. So let's unpack this. The National Development Plan, the NDP, it's described as Ireland's most ambitious capital investment program ever.
And that description feels accurate when you look at the figures.
It's designed to be genuinely transformative.
Absolutely. And the financial commitment? It is staggering. We're talking a total of $275.4 billion set for investment between 2026 and 2035.
Just incredible numbers.
Yeah, to break it down a bit, about $102.4 billion of that is direct exchequer allocations to departments, just between 2026 and 2030.
Okay.
The overall government capital spend goes up to over $200 billion through to 2035. It's essentially a multi-generational investment from the public purse.
That's a truly staggering amount. Looking at these core objectives then, what's the biggest goal they're shooting for here, and maybe the biggest hurdle?
Well, the goals are incredibly broad. The main one is transforming the country for current and future generations. This means investing unprecedented amounts in critical infrastructure. Think housing, water, energy, transport, the absolute basics.
Right, the foundation.
Exactly. But it's not just about concrete and steel. It's about meeting economic and social needs, protecting Ireland's economic prospects.
Competitiveness too, I imagine.
Huge focus on that. Increasing competitiveness, fostering regional development, making sure growth isn't all in one place, and boosting research and innovation.
So practically speaking.
Practically, it means building more homes, both state-led projects, and enabling the private sector by providing that underlying infrastructure.
Okay.
Plus, more childcare places, school places, expanding health and disability services, addressing cultural needs. It's very wide-ranging.
Then they're also looking at how things get built.
Yes, a key emphasis from the government is improving how infrastructure is planned, designed, and built. A really sharp focus on delivery and, crucially, value for money.
Which you'd hope for with this kind of investment.
You absolutely need it.
That sounds like an incredibly comprehensive plan. But achieving all that, it must come with challenges. And for a plan this huge, how exactly is the funding being pulled together? Where's all this money coming from beyond just, standard taxes?
That's a critical question.
Yeah.
And it's where some of the, let's say, more innovative approaches come in. The funding streams are diverse.
Okay.
You have the Exchequer funds, obviously, but also non-Exchequer sources. And these non-Exchequer sources are interesting.
How so?
Well, we're using things like the escrow fund that holds money from past economic activities. They're also using proceeds from selling bank shares.
Repurposing existing assets.
Exactly. Repurposing assets for future growth, not just relying on new taxes.
Yeah.
And they're tapping into the new Infrastructure, Climate, and Nature Fund, the ICNF.
Right, the Climate Fund.
Which specifically earmarks money for climate and nature projects.
Yeah.
It signals a real long-term commitment.
And how much are these non-Exchequer sources contributing?
They're estimated to bring in around $63 billion over the 2026-2035 period.
$63 billion.
Yeah, which is about 23% of the total funding. That's quite significant.
That really is. It shows some creative thinking on the fiscal side.
Definitely.
Okay, so this isn't just growth for growth's sake. You mentioned drivers.
No.
What are the big underlying factors making this huge investment feel so urgent right now?
Yeah, here's where it gets really interesting. We can probably point to four main drivers that explain the scale and urgency.
Okay, what's number one?
First, population growth and demographic change. Ireland's population shot up by 0.4 million. That's 8.5% just between 2019 and 2024. We hit 5.4 million this year.
Wow.
And the projections. Continued growth. Maybe 5.6 to 5.76 million by the end of the decade, potentially up to 6.3 million by 2040.
And the makeup of the population is changing too.
Yes, that's key. We're seeing a shift towards an older population overall, a larger working age population, but actually a decreasing younger population cohort.
Which impacts everything.
Absolutely. Housing demand, healthcare, transport needs. It forces a strategic rethink of infrastructure.
Okay, driver number 2.
Second is balanced regional development. The updated National Planning Framework, the NPF, aims for a 50-50 split of future growth.
50-50 between where?
Half targeted for the Eastern and Midland region, the other half for the Southern and the Northern and Western regions combined.
Okay.
And within that, another 50-50 target. Half the growth in the 5 main cities, Dublin, Galway, Cork, Limerick, Waterford, and the other half across the rest of the country.
So a deliberate push to spread things out.
A very deliberate strategy, yeah. To avoid over-concentration, spread the opportunities.
Makes sense. Third driver.
Third, massive climate obligations. Ireland is legally bound to cut greenhouse gas emissions by 51% by 2030 compared to 2018 levels and reach climate neutrality by 2050.
Huge targets.
They are. And they translate into really ambitious sectoral goals like a 75% cut in electricity emissions, 50% in transport, 45% in commercial buildings.
And that needs money.
Significant capital investment, yes.
Yeah.
Alongside regulations, taxes, and all of us changing our behavior too. It's a massive piece on its own.
Okay, and the final driver.
Finally, increasing Ireland's competitiveness. This is a major focus. The National Competitiveness and Productivity Council keeps highlighting infrastructure deficits as critical.
A weak spot.
It seems to be. Ireland's global competitiveness ranking actually dropped from 2nd to 7th in 2025. And infrastructure consistently lags. We're ranked 17th globally on that metric.
Not great if you want to attract investment.
Exactly. Strong infrastructure is fundamental for business.
Those drivers really paint a clear picture of why this is happening now. So given these big pressures, demographics, climate, competitiveness, where exactly is this huge sum going? What are the big departmental allocations? And maybe touch on what's already been delivered too.
Right. So the review itself added almost $24 billion in capital funding compared to the previous NDP ceilings. That's a significant top-up.
Okay.
And there's this interesting mechanism called wider funding released. That's an extra $10 billion for core projects.
How is that released?
Through equity injections and other financial provisions. It's specifically aimed at underpinning housing delivery, that target of 300,000 new homes by 2030, and boosting competitiveness.
Can you give examples?
Sure. $3.5 billion in equity for ESB and EirGrid to beef up the energy grid capacity. Absolutely vital. For water, there's an extra $4.5 billion on top of the main NDP funding. That includes a $2 billion equity injection into Usarian this year, 2025, specifically to enable those 300,000 homes.
Right. Connecting new homes needs water infrastructure.
Exactly. Plus another $2.5 billion for large water projects up to 2030. If you add it all up, across all sources, the total earmarked for critical water infrastructure is about $12 billion.
$12 billion for water.
Yeah. And another example, $2 billion from that ICNF, the Climate Fund, is specifically tagged for low-carbon transport projects like Metrolink.
That's a lot of significant funding shifts. Can you give us that snapshot of the biggest departmental winners for 2026 to 2030? Where's the bulk of the money going?
Absolutely. The lion's share, no surprise, goes to housing, local government, and heritage, over $35.9 billion.
Wow.
And within that, a massive $28.2 billion is for housing and other related things, plus that $7.6 billion specifically for water services we mentioned.
Okay, who's next?
Transport gets over $22.3 billion. Then health with nearly $9.3 billion. Education and youth get over $7.5 billion. And climate, energy, and environment is allocated over $5.6 billion.
So the priorities are pretty clear there. Housing, transport, health, education, climate.
Very much so. Foundational infrastructure and social services.
And on housing specifically, given the crisis, frankly, what are those specific delivery targets again?
The commitments are pretty clear and very ambitious. The plan aims to deliver an average of 12,000 new-build social homes each year by 2030.
12,000 a year.
Yes. And alongside that, there's a starter homes program targeting 15,000 units per year.
15,000, so a two-pronged approach.
Exactly, tackling different parts of the housing need.
It's clear the challenges are immense, the targets are high. But you mentioned progress. It's important people know this isn't just future promises. What tangible things have actually been delivered under the NDP since, say, 2021?
Yeah, absolutely. Despite the hurdles, there has been significant delivery. On the roads front, 170 kilometers of new roads, completed things like the new Ross Bypass, the Dunkettle Interchange, major projects.
Okay.
Active travel has seen real investment, too. 660 kilometers of new walking paths, 400 kilometers of cycling lanes, and 220 kilometers of greenways built.
Good progress there. Housing.
Almost 53,000 new local authority scheme homes have been completed since 2021.
53,000.
Yes, and broadband, the National Broadband Plan has connected over 110,000 premises to high-speed internet, vital for rural areas.
What about education and health?
We've seen the new TU Dublin campus in Grangegorman, a major third-level development, and around 800 school building projects finished since 2020.
800.
In healthcare, there's the first phase of the National Rehabilitation Hospital redevelopment, new wards in Mallow and University Hospital Galway, the Mater Hospital's Rock Wing, adding 112 beds in 2023, and the big National Forensic Mental Health Service Hospital completed in 2022.
So real tangible results on the ground already.
Definitely. It shows momentum even with the known challenges.
That's a good overview. But as you said, money alone isn't enough. What are the big hurdles the government sees in actually delivering this massive plan? And what reforms are they putting in place to try and overcome them?
Right, this is where the focus on delivery really becomes critical. The government openly acknowledges several key constraints.
Such as?
Things like judicial reviews of planning decisions, those legal challenges that can really slow things down or stop projects entirely.
A common complaint.
Very common. Also, the need for additional environmental consents, labor supply shortages, particularly skilled workers in construction and ongoing construction inflation, costs going up.
Did the public consultation flag these too?
Interestingly, yes. They ran a public consultation, got about 185 responses, and the feedback mirrored these concerns. Planning and regulatory issues were cited by 66% as a top constraint.
Wow, 2/3.
Yeah, followed by fiscal constraints, the money side at 36%, and labor skill shortages at 33%. So, pretty aligned with the official view.
And the labor market, you mentioned shortages.
Big time. The construction sector hit 177,000 employees in early 2025, but estimates suggest we need around 80,000 additional construction workers to meet the housing and retrofit targets alone.
80,000 more workers. That's huge.
It's a massive gap. So to tackle this, they're focusing hard on construction sector innovation and boosting productivity.
Wow.
Widespread adoption of modern methods of construction, MMC, like offsite building, is seen as key. They think that could cut the workforce need by maybe 10,000.
Okay, so working smarter.
Exactly. DPR, the Department of Public Expenditure, has its construction sector group and the Build Digital project pushing digital adoption. And they're even mandating standardized designs for new social housing builds from late 2025.
Why standardized designs?
The idea is it promotes MMC, makes things quicker, and could cut costs by up to 14% for something like a two-bed apartment. That's a potentially significant saving and efficiency gain.
So it's not just spending, it's about smarter spending, process improvement. What specific reforms are happening to streamline the actual delivery process, getting projects approved and built faster?
Exactly. The NDP reforms are central here. A big focus is on capital governance and appraisal, basically, making sure projects are well-planned, transparent, and give value for money right from the start. The new infrastructure guidelines brought in January 2024 are a major part of this. They replace the old public spending code.
What changed?
They cut the number of approval stages for major projects from 5 down to 3. And importantly, they raised the threshold for what counts as a major project from $100 million up to $200 million.
So faster approvals for more projects.
That's the aim, streamlining things. But the Major Projects Advisory Group, MPAG, still provides independent scrutiny for those really big projects over $200 million, so there's oversight.
And environmental checks.
Yes, another important change. The new guidelines explicitly include climate and environmental performance in the appraisal. Projects have to assess their greenhouse gas emissions and how resilient they are to climate change impacts.
That feels necessary.
Absolutely. And other ongoing reforms. DPER has set up a new infrastructure division specifically to speed up development, focusing on electricity, water, and transport, those critical enabling sectors.
Okay.
There's also the Accelerating Infrastructure Task Force, chaired by Minister Chambers, with independent experts looking for barriers and high-impact ways to speed things up.
And planning reform. That came up as the biggest constraint.
Yes, critical reforms there. The Planning and Development Act 2024 was signed into law in October 2024. It aims to bring in clearer planning pathways, set clearer timeframes.
Reduce delays from legal challenges.
That's a key goal, reforming the judicial review process. It also extends council development plan cycles to 10 years for more long-term certainty and mandates alignment with national planning strategies. It's a major overhaul of the system.
Lots of moving parts to try and get delivery right.
A huge effort on the reform side, yes.
Now, beyond the pure economic and infrastructure aspects, there's another really fascinating element woven into the NDP, isn't there? The Shared Island Initiative.
Yes. What's really compelling here is how the NDP explicitly incorporates this. It's presented as a key component, focused on building a, quote, shared, reconciled future for everyone on the island.
That adds a whole different dimension. Can you give us some concrete examples of projects under this initiative, things actually happening to build those bridges, sometimes literally?
Certainly. Delivery's already underway. Construction actually started on the Narrowwater Bridge in 2024, hugely symbolic. Phase 2 of the Ulster Canal restoration was finished and launched in 2024, connecting communities through shared waterways and heritage. Funding's been allocated for a teaching building at Ulster University's Derry campus that's moving to planning next year, strengthening educational links.
Good practical examples. Transport.
Yes, a new hourly train service between Belfast and Dublin kicked off in 2024. Big improvement in connectivity.
Definitely.
And research collaboration, too. The North-South Research Program started in 2021. It includes 2 big co-centers, one looking at climate, biodiversity, and water, the other at sustainable food systems.
So practical cooperation on shared challenges.
Exactly. And beyond those big projects, there are things like an enterprise scheme for women entrepreneurs across the island, collaboration on tourism branding, joint projects restoring peatlands, lots of different strands built to elections.
Those are tangible steps. What about the future for the Shared Island Initiative within the NDP?
Well, the commitment is being significantly boosted. The government is doubling the funding for the Shared Island Fund, adding another $1 billion out to 2035.
Another billion.
Yes. Specifically to drive more all-island investment, foster reconciliation, mutual respect, and shared growth. This is also underpinned by that UK-Ireland 2030 joint statement, agreed back in March 2025, setting out a program for cooperation.
So a serious long-term financial commitment to cross-border partnership.
It certainly appears so. A powerful signal.
Okay, as we start to wrap up this deep dive, it's just crystal clear that this National Development Plan Review 2025, it's far more than just a spending plan. At $275.4 billion, yes, the scale is immense. But it feels like a really holistic attempt to tackle Ireland's biggest challenges head-on, from housing and water to climate change to competitiveness. It tries to connect all the dots.
I think that's right. This really is about putting forward a tangible vision for the country's future. It's not just abstract numbers. It's aimed at making Ireland more resilient, more sustainable, more prosperous for a growing population.
Yeah.
Ensuring the fundamental infrastructure is there for the next generation, and crucially, trying to reform how it all gets delivered effectively on the ground.
So a final thought for you, our listener, as you reflect on this monumental plan. Consider that delicate balance they're trying to strike between pushing for rapid growth, ensuring long-term sustainability, and just managing the sheer complexity of it all. What do you think might be the most unexpected outcome, positive or negative, of this multifaceted plan in the years ahead for you and your own community?